Number 10, Goldeneye. Now this kicked off the Pierce Brosnan era of Bond after like a 6 or 7 year hiatus. And I really like the opening of this thing because it acknowledges the fact that this Bond was apparently involved in the Cold War. So yeah, again, we don't really know how these Bond things kind of work out. I mean, Bond films are standalones, but at the same time, we know this guy. You know, we've seen him on other missions. So some of this stuff carries over and some of them doesn't. I like the idea of bringing up this this guy that you see at the beginning who's like an agent and apparently ends up being the villain of the film. Using an ex-00 agent as a villain was a pretty good idea. It was done a lot better in another film, but I'll get to that film when I get to that film. Also, I love the idea of using an EMP as a weapon. I think that's a great idea. The fact that it's an old Soviet weapon, because yeah, I have to admit, I really like how, if you don't know much about the Cold War and stuff like that, I mean, in the late 80s, here's the thing. James Bond has really always been involved with, say, the Russians. There are always well, okay, I mean, let's put it this way. The Cold War, we always thought Russia was the big bad guy. So oftentimes, James Bond would go against stuff that was related to the Russians and stuff like that. There was usually something involved in that. Here we see a Bond that's kind of like, it's very much after the collapse of the Soviet Union Bond, which we'd never really seen before, which I think is kind of great. I think you could do a lot with this, and I think that even the main villain is still trying to adjust to the fact that essentially, like, hey, the Russians aren't the bad guys anymore. Now, he's motivated to take revenge against England because of historical fact with the Cossacks, and that really confused me. And I have to admit, I've looked up the history of this. So yeah, it's interesting though. So hey, you like things in Bond films that are interesting. And of course, this film also features Boris, played by Alan Cumming, who's one of the greatest villainous henchmen ever, with his "I am invincible" sort of thing that became a meme during the time of the internet. Because yeah, actually, when this film was released, the internet was really just getting started. Yeah, this is 1995. I mean, this is a whole different era for me, man. I was pretty young at that time. So yeah, I'd have to say this is a fairly decent Bond film, and it definitely holds up. So yeah, that's what I got to say about it.